It's it off to McCaffrey. There he goes. It's a C-Mac attack. McCaffrey, one man to beat.
This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav and Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you believe? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter.
They was waiting at the gate for this one. Welcome to the Bleav and Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Network. Desmond Johnson, Schuyler, Callihan from Sports Illustrated, and Panthers all-time leading rusher Jonathan Stewart in the house. Our Monday recap show live and direct here for you. The Panthers 24-10 losers to the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday. Multiple storylines we need to talk about that game from yesterday. We'll get into that. You got trade rumors flying all about. We got a trade that actually just went down that we'll talk about, and much, much more. Of course, Bet Online is our sponsor, and today football is back. Bet Online remains your #1 source for all your football betting needs this season. You will find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, Bet Online features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like Major League Baseball, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code Bleav, B-L-E-A-V, to receive your rewards. Bet Online, where the game starts. And where we start is this 24-10 loss. The Panthers falling to 1-5 on the season. Interim head coach Steve Wilks' first outing as head coach did not go exactly as planned. Where do you want to go here with this? Where do you want to start off with this? Because there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can. I wrote down a couple of things that we needed to hit: PJ Walker, the offensive play calling, Robbie Anderson. Where should we start here? Turn it over to the dais. Like, where do you think? Where you want to begin to go in? Because
let's talk about Robbie right quick.
Okay, let's get Robbie and get Robbie out the way. Schuyler, Robbie Anderson had a outburst. That's a good way to put it. Outburst on the sideline yesterday with wide receivers coach Joe Daly. Multiple times actually after the final time, head coach Steve Wilks sent him to the locker room. I think I tweeted out that might be the last time we see Robbie in a Panthers jersey. And just about
correct.
Yeah, about 30 minutes ago, explain to us what just went down regarding Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, so they've actually been looking for a team to take on not only his personality or whatever you want to call it, but they've been looking for a team for about a week now to make a deal with. It just hadn't had. It was too late in the week for them to get anything done before this week's game. So I don't know exactly what happened on the sideline. I mean, Robbie gave his spiel. Steve Wilks didn't really go too much in depth with it either, but I don't know if we'll ever get the full story out of that. But as far as the deal is concerned, the Panthers are going to receive a 2024 6th-round pick and a 2025 7th-round pick in exchange for Robbie Anderson. So not much, but considering what happened yesterday, I think Panthers fans should at least be happy they got something out of it, because that could have easily turned into a situation where everyone knows the Panthers are moving on from Robbie Anderson, and they just say, we're just going to wait until you release him. So you got to be at least thankful they got something, let alone 2 picks out of it, even though it's day 3 picks.
I'm actually surprised they got 2 picks just for the scenario you just said, because after watching that yesterday, I mean, I think it was pretty clear that we probably were going to do something with him and may have to cut him. People forget Robbie's a Matt Rule guy. Like, Robbie's here because of Matt Rule. He played for Matt Rule in college and defended him on a weekly basis pretty much. So
have you seen the dead money?
Say what now?
The dead money for Robbie Anderson, I believe.
Yeah, I think I saw like
20 mil.
Yeah. I didn't realize that it was that high. And again, it's one of those things where people online don't understand salary cap or dead cap money or any of that kind of stuff. They think you could just trade player A for player B, and that's it. It don't work that way. That's why when I see all these trade rumors going around, I'm just like, well, some of these guys can't be really traded, like in theory. Like DJ Moore, someone's got to give up a lot just to make it work. Same for McCaffrey, to be honest, although that buzz is starting to pick up now too. I keep thinking back to that one-handed catch that McCaffrey had in the second quarter. Like he was actually turned around and had to like turn his hand like this and caught it with one hand. Like the other hand never touched the ball. In stride, brings it down and keeps going. I'm like, that's why you keep Christian McCaffrey, because that's something else. Yeah,
He's
that's something different. Not everybody can do that. Like you don't just trade those guys off because you want to, give up the season or whatever. You build around guys like that. He's 26. So
somebody made an interesting point about McCaffrey the other day, and I can't remember who it was. But even if the Panthers are looking to part with some of their veterans, like Robbie Anderson or so on and so forth, like you can't just go with a complete fire sale and get rid of your core pieces, because what coach is going to be attracted to this situation if there's nothing to build?
Yeah.
That's a very, very good point. Scott,
and I think just so I can get past this whole Robbie Anderson thing, I think this is a good teaching moment, a learning experience, or whatever you want to call it, for any players out there that are going through, their season woes, their up and downs in their career. By the grace of God, Marquise Brown, like that whole situation for the Cardinals and all that, the nature of the game, a guy gets hurt, someone gets an opportunity. As yesterday, we saw Robbie Anderson throw a temper tantrum because he wasn't getting his way. Whatever that is, you're really showcasing to the entire world, who you are when things don't go well, when things aren't going right. It's one thing if you're out there making catches and you out there having 100-yard games and you're frustrated on the sideline that you aren't getting the ball in a moment in the game. That's not the case. So for the young guys, keep your mouth shut and play.
Yep.
Roll with the punches. That's part of the game. It's part of the growth. It's part of the opportunity for the growth. And when your time comes, you make the most of it. Now, I understand the frustration and I can respect the frustration, but when you are on national television, you do not act like that. And so for the guys, for the guys that are in that Panther receiver room, take this as a learning experience. You have a guy now that's at a head coach position that ain't with that. And none of these other coaches are either. Now, Robbie, I would like to hope that you can see that the grace of God is on your career right now because the Cardinals situation.
Yeah.
Now, count your blessing because you would be out of a job right now, possibly.
They would just cut him today. Like if they couldn't find anybody by 6 o'clock or whatever,
because
they would just cut him.
Because that right there is not just making you look bad; it's making the Panther organization look bad. Your teammates look bad. The head coach, but the owner right now. Okay, David Tepper ain't with that. Okay, so like guys, you got to be able to stay in it. It's gonna be this season's not over. I know I've been saying it all year. For 1-5, it's not over, and you got to stay in it, man. Because this is your career that you're talking about. This is your family's livelihood that we're talking about here. You got to stay level-headed.
I got to give my tip of the hat to Jared Daly, though. I mean, because like in that situation, I'm a coach. I probably don't keep my cool as well as he did. Now, again, I don't know who was right in that situation or if there was anybody that was right. But for a player to come up and bump his face mask up into your nose.
Oh, it wasn't just that.
It
wasn't just that. First of all, this is right after the whole Draymond Green, Jordan Poole thing. So the whole conversation about getting in somebody's space, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. We just went through all this on social media the past week. So everybody kind of knew the rules at this point. My man came over to him, got in his face, did the thing with the grill with his helmet. But if you look down at his hands, Robbie's hand is in a fist. Like his left hand is in a fist when he's talking to this guy. And if you look at them, it almost looks like Joe Daly is saying, I wish you would hit me. Like, that's what it looks like. He is screaming at him as he's walking away. He's like, I wish you would hit me. I wish you would hit me. That's the first one. The second one, when Robbie bumps him with the shoulder, we all know what that means. We all know what that means when somebody hits you like that and then looks back at you like, you ain't going to do nothing. Like, that's what that means. And Joe Daly got, of course.
You got to get those. You got to get that out of the locker. Like,
that's got to go.
I don't care what you give up for him, even if you didn't get anything. Like, you cannot continue to have Robbie Anderson on this roster. So they had to move him. Like, you can't, especially after firing Matt Rule. Steve Wilks is trying to set the tone and change the narrative around this program, right? You can't have that type of, I don't even know what you call it.
Can't have it, won't have it. It's a cancer. It's what it is.
If he did that to a different coach, like another coach, this would be a whole different kind of conversation going on.
Shoot, if he would have did that to Coach Wilks, boy.
That was the first name that came to mind, actually. Like, man, if he did that to Steve Wilks or somebody.
I'll tell you what, Joe is a better man than me. I would have had
I saw it, and I was bad for Joe. I was like, yo, he's just like trying to like steal your lunch. Like on TV, national TV. He just tried to do that to you. And then he came back again. And I'm just like, yo, so Robbie's gone. I was thinking about this the other day too. I was like, how many guys are on this team that are Baylor / Temple / Matt Rule guys? Because is this going to be more of an eye-opening look at like some of these guys that are around here that are on this team that we have talked about? We can't figure out why they're on the team other than the association to Matt Rule. One of those dudes is starting quarterback PJ Walker, who I don't even know how to explain this game. That I don't know who to blame. You know, Mondays for me is the blame game. I'm blaming somebody. I wouldn't be blaming anybody if we were winning games, but every time I come in here after a loss, someone deserves some blame.
We need to make that a segment.
Yeah, so who's to blame? That's what we're gonna start doing on Mondays. Who's to blame? Who is the
Desmond's blame game?
Is it PJ or is it offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo? Because we'll pull up the graphic here, guys. At first, I thought this was a joke. I didn't think this was actually accurate. It is. This is PJ Walker's pass chart. 10 for 16, 60 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. This is from yesterday. This is not made up. This is actually what they did on offense yesterday. And I had fools on Facebook coming at me like, well, PJ actually did what they wanted him to do. PJ played a great game, blah, 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 blah. PJ just needs a chance. He had a chance. This is what he did with the chance. And I don't want to hear the whole, well, maybe the offensive coordinator told him to throw it short. He had routes where he had guys going vertical downfield or whatever, and they didn't try it. And then to tell all of it, as soon as he gets knocked out the game and Jacob Eason comes in, they just start running 4 verts, like down the field. So they had no problem with Jacob Eason throwing those long darts. Why couldn't PJ Walker throw him down there? That one that's at the like 20-plus yards or whatever, that ball was sailing out of bounds, 5 yards out of bounds, and nowhere near a receiver, and he wasn't trying to throw it out of bounds.
Schuyler, tell us what your insight on the game plan is, because I mean, from my side, you know, the first half, I feel like we were controlled, right? We were controlling the game. We were staying with that. We're trying to control the time of possession. I think at one point, I was like, wow, we finally lead in the department of time and possession. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning of the game. And so that registered to me like, okay, they had a game plan and they're following their game plan. Yep, I think this is the first time I recognized all season that they started out with a plan and they're following it.
Yeah.
And so kudos to that part of the game plan. I want to know what your assessment is as the game went on, especially that third quarter. Because that third quarter, I think we had 6, 7 plays or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the second straight week that's happened. I think if you go back and look at what they did against San Francisco, I think they had 7 snaps in the third quarter, because we highlighted that in last week's show. You can't win games if you have 7 snaps in a quarter. And I think the approach going into this week was always to help PJ out, to get him to where he doesn't have to do everything. But there's a certain extent, I think, like, you've got to allow him to push the ball down the field. Like, I think part of that's on Ben McAdoo. Ben McAdoo and Steve Wilks They had their meetings throughout the week, and they came together and said, we are going to run the football, and we're going to be smart and not, put PJ in stressful situations. We're not going to put him in a situation where he's got to go through 4 or 5 reads and pick his best decision.
Right.
But I think McAdoo either went a little too conservative, or maybe the coaching staff as a whole went too conservative. Because when you have 11 of your 16 pass attempts go behind the line of scrimmage, I mean, how are you fooling anybody?
Right.
So, I mean, there it is. Look at the chart right here. 11.
What is this? This is a high school offense that I'm looking at
You
here.
know what that looks like, Desmond? I don't know if you've ever seen this on Major League Baseball, and they put all these different stuff out there. It looks like somebody's bunt charts. Bunting down the first and third base line. That's literally what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I think too, and Steve kind of pointed this out in the post game, that PJ hadn't been the starter, and they didn't want to again put those stressful situations on him. I'm interested to see how conservative that game plan is this week if he remains the starter, given that he's had a full week and a half or so to really run with the ones. Now, that's if he's healthy enough, because he's got the neck injury. We may have Jacob Eason, and that could be I think he'd be technically the 6th string quarterback that's going to be starting potentially. So,
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm like, yo, throw Jacob in there. Like he did a couple of things when he had the chance.
I mean, the check down was the biggest one of.
That was McCaffrey just being McCaffrey. He just hit the corner and was like,
which really goes to show you, all you got to do is get the ball to these guys in some space of some sort. Kudos to the tight end this week, by the way, Ian Thomas, and because this was the first time that I've seen him get opportunities to where he can make something happen after the catch. And so as we look at other teams right now, man, this is it's a quarterback-driven league, and quarterbacks love their tight ends and their running backs as checkdowns. So if we can figure that out with whoever is going to be the quarterback coming up for this game, like the game plan needs that. It needs to be spread out throughout the game. And if your running game, you're leaning on your running game, that's perfect for play action. Okay.
Yes, and you said that during the game.
And that's where we can take shots down the field. And so I understand. That's why I was kind of waiting to see if we would get some, I don't know, something, some fakes in the backfield, and then get the quarterback to stretch it out a little bit longer, get those long drawn out routes where the safety gets lost in the sauce, peeking in the backfield, all the eye candy or something.
That's exactly what my thing was. I mean, and obviously you played football a lot longer than I did, but from my personal experience, if you run a very vanilla offense and you execute, it's fine. Yeah. But if you run a vanilla offense and you don't execute, you get what you've been watching from the Panthers these past 6 weeks. You've got to be able to, some teams, they can almost kind of hide some of their deficiencies because they just execute well. They may not give the most confusing looks or different personnels that you don't see on a week-to-week basis, but they execute at a high level.
The Rams did that Sunday.
Yeah,
the 49ers.
49ers, yeah.
When you don't present different looks, now like Stu said in our chat, they did the pony personnel, which we haven't seen that all year.
Explain that for those that are watching or listening if they don't know what that is. What is the pony personnel?
You get two dogs in the backfield, or you get 2 dogs on the field, 2 running backs. And what you're doing is, especially with us, if you have a running back like Christian McCaffrey, and then you have and you spread him out somewhere, it's okay, he's a legit threat after catching the ball. So we have to really pay attention to this guy. But then you have a guy lined up at running back that's actually a running back. and they can run the ball too. Like that's a threat.
Off.
But then you have a quarterback that could potentially run too. So now you're just like, dang, I'm in a pickle. I don't really know where to really put my eyes at. And so it puts the defense in a stressful situation.
Ben really needs to build on that package, I think, because especially if PJ is going to be the starter, he can run. Now, I don't know if you want him to run a whole lot, but I mean, the threat is there. But what I'm saying is, like, from what I remember, I felt like they just lined up in that formation. I don't know if they motioned into it at all.
I want to say once or twice they did. I want to say McCaffrey started out wide and motioned into the backfield and got set once or twice.
That's what they need to do, or motion out of it.
Yeah.
If you flex him out wide or flex him into the slot, like there's so many things that are running through a linebacker's head. If you're not going to do all this window dressing and eye candy stuff like LA or San Francisco does, you've got to do it in different ways. That way you're making the defense think. If you can get the defense to think, you're going to be able to get those completions. You're not going to see the balls being swatted at the line of scrimmage because they're anticipating that quick out or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Here's my thing, guys. And you guys hit all the hot spots. It felt like the coaches felt like PJ was limited in what he could do. And they were trying to tailor the game plan to what they thought PJ could do. It felt like the game plan was let the defense win this game, let the run game win this game. We're not going to do anything to force PJ into a situation where he's got to go win the game for us.
Which is the first half.
Yeah, first half, he moved the ball. Things were going pretty okay. Defense gets
They could have used the timeouts and be aggressive, but they didn't.
They did not. They went in the locker room with all of them. Stuff like that, I'm just like, okay, it makes the fans think that they're trying to lose. And that was the sentiment I was getting online through the game and then afterwards, where there's a large segment of fans who are like, okay, well, clearly they're trying to lose these football games at this point because of the way they just did this. Because there's no explanation as to why they never
listen, fans. Ain't nobody gonna go. Ain't nobody gonna spend the money that we spend to travel the distance you travel.
Thank you. Tell them,
put your bodies on the field to get beaten up on to try to lose.
Try to go get CJ Stroud next year.
Like,
come on, man.
Come on now.
That's not how it works.
That's like, hey, I'm gonna go on a jog so I can get out of shape. Nah, man. You going on a jog and your cardio is getting right. No matter what.
You know, something, and actually Paul Mancini, who's watching this, he makes an excellent point that I noticed too. The Rams secondary figured out we were not going to change our offense. And you can start seeing the secondary playing at linebacker depth the last 3 quarters of the game because PJ wasn't going to go deep at all.
Right.
Like he didn't even – there were plays where I knew where the ball was going as soon as it was snapped because I knew PJ wasn't looking at the deep routes. So it was just like, okay, find McCaffrey or find whoever's running the shortest route, and that's where it's going to go. He threw so many passes behind the line of scrimmage yesterday. On Friday nights, when I do high school football, I see that offense on Friday nights. It's usually the teams that have like a young quarterback, a sophomore, they ain't been working out yet or something, and he can't throw it 35 yards down the field vertically in the air. But they've got playmakers, so they end up putting them out wide. They throw that snake pass or whatever, that smoke pass or whatever it's called, over to the left or the right, and they have a couple of guys over there already to kind of do a natural screen. And that's what they did all game, and they never changed it. And I was sitting there trying to think back because we've seen PJ before. PJ can throw the ball, can't he? Like, he can throw the ball. Like, I don't think that was ever a problem.
What I don't understand is why they didn't, like, I'll have to go back and watch the tape, but I don't think they play very much 2 safeties, like deep. And obviously there's a reason why.
Yeah.
All those quick screens or passes out to the flat, like, how do you not set that up to get them to bite and then release one of those guys deep? So you pump fake on a quick
deep.
We thought that's what we thought they were setting it up for in our group chat. We're like, okay, they're setting this up to bait them for something down the way because they haven't let PJ do anything.
They didn't even attempt it. Like,
no, he didn't even look. He never once, and that makes me think he was told not to. You know, because I would think that just being a competitor, that he would want to take some shots downfield, and he literally never tried except for that one 20-plus yard pass, and he missed a couple of times. DJ Moore was open on one of those, and he just missed them. I guess the question now is, should you give PJ another shot, or are you looking to let Jacob Eason play? I mean, you're playing Tampa. Here's the thing. I know that we're not in a good spot right now. We're not in a good place as a fan base and as a team. As a community when it comes to the Panthers.
But go ahead and tell them.
People need to keep this in mind. Out of the 32 teams in the NFL, there are only 10 teams that are above 500 right now. There's a lot of sneaky football going on. It ain't just us. Go find a Washington Commanders fan and ask them how they feel about their season right now. Like, and they've won one more game than we have. Like it's bad all the way around. Tampa's coming into this limping themselves.
3-3.
Yeah, our division's not good.
They just lost to Pittsburgh.
Not good. They just lost to Pittsburgh and Kenny Pickett, rookie quarterback. So I mean,
and we got the injury bug right now too, and as sucky as it is, I'm glad that it's happened and it's happening now, and we have time to figure it out. Especially on defense, because clearly that's a strong point, right?
We no Jeremy Chin yesterday.
Our offensive line is playing lights out. Like Icky is playing like I saw something. His grade was number 2 offensive tackle this week.
Oh,
so
yesterday?
I mean, back-to-back weeks.
Wow, yeah,
where he's just killing it.
That's great.
I mean, that's why you drafted that guy. So shout out to Scott Fitty for drafting him.
Do you want to keep him?
Yeah.
Who? Icky?
No.
Oh yeah. Listen, this is what you got to understand. From his position, he's done all he can. He's like with the cards dealt and all the things that he's been doing. I mean, a lot of people are going to have a lot of stuff to say as far as his activity and the trades and all that. But we have players.
We do. We have players.
We just struggling at the quarterback position.
That what, and that's the thing. we're not telling why you're mad Thursday, but that's one of the things that's driving me nuts. It's like everyone keeps telling me, well, you don't have any players. You don't have any players, that's why you're losing. If that's the case, why the hell is half the league trying to get our players? Half the league has been rumored to grab DJ Moore or name a guy that we think is a guy on our squad that's like a leader or a great player or a good player. He's been mentioned in street talk.
This is if I'm on the team right now, I'm going into the locker room and I'm telling my guys, hey, let's stay in this, fellas. This is still an opportunity to grow. There's young guys out there that are getting reps, that are playing, that wouldn't be able to play if it weren't for injuries and for the situation or whatever it is. Get these experiences, come together in these moments. These are the moments that you really can start seeing this team mold into who they are supposed to be. That first half of that football game, as slow and how unexciting things were, I loved it.
I did too.
Because it was the first time that I saw like complimentary football, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was because they knew what they were going to do going into the game, and they started doing it early. I'm not mad at that. I want to see a stack on top of that as we go into this week in preparation, because now we're playing a division opponent. If we can go in this game and really get into the mud and come out of this game victorious, oh my goodness.
They're banged up too. I mean,
they're banged up too. Like
Tom Brady after yelling at all of them, and they're like, "Dude, you missed like 3 weeks of training camp. I'm
not sure what Baker's status is going to be. Like, I know his ankle and all that. His foot. Is his foot or ankle? Ankle.
I think he tore a ligament in his ankle, didn't he? Isn't that what the official thing was? Because I thought they could come back earlier. He was going to be the backup this past week, and then they did an MRI. I saw he tore a ligament. So now he's probably going to be out a couple of weeks before.
But there's some bright spots that are to come with the quarterbacks that we do have, right? I mean, Sam Darnold. When is he supposed to come off IR?
He's eligible now, isn't he? But
he's eligible to come back. They think that he could be cleared this week. If not this week, definitely probably by next week.
I put Sam Darnold in that offense yesterday with the notion of knowing he's got the arm to actually try it down the field.
We win that game. We win that game.
So it's weird. It's weird looking at it like
Panther fans. Don't get all up in your. Don't get all. Don't get your underwear all crunched up.
I swear, if Sam Darnold becomes the savior of this football team, like comes in here and rattles off like 6 wins straight or something, I am going to lose it. Like I don't even know how to wrap my mind around what that would look like. I don't think
this fan base has the mental capacity.
No, it would just crumble on itself. Like we're here Thanksgiving.
I better go see a counselor.
Yeah, I need to talk to somebody about this. Let me get off my chest. Like, if we get the Thanksgiving weekend and the Panthers are like at 500 because Sam Darnold came back, start throwing 270-yard games and like 2 touchdowns or whatever.
Yeah,
that's not that far off base of what could potentially happen. Like, Sam fell apart because he lost Christian McCaffrey. To me, that's really when he started to fall off last year, is when McCaffrey got hurt and he lost that safety valve. But Sam knew how to use the safety valve, but to also want to go downfield. Like, he would take shots downfield. And the first 3 games last year, he played great. It was when he lost that safety valve, and then that offensive line got revealed to be as bad as it was. That's when he started playing poorly. You put Sam behind this line with a healthy CMC, I actually feel okay. Considering what I just watched yesterday, I don't want to see that again. I don't want to see a whole day of that. Like, I see that on Friday. I don't need to see that on Sunday. Like, the team that I actually call football for, their coaches, whenever they see a team that's running that, they know they got them. Like, if they see them in practice doing that, or like in pregame running those sets, or the first quarter, and that's all they're doing, they know that's all they can do, because you don't do that unless you have no other choice. Like, you're doing that for some specific reason. And yesterday, I felt like the Panthers were trying to be too cute and never built a second part of, okay, what do we do when the Rams figure this out?
I think it's all part of the master plan.
Oh yeah, what's that master plan, Stu?
We didn't want to show the Buccaneers what we about to do to them.
Yo, if we come out and it's like a 40-15 win, I'm gonna be like, yo, you was on something. You was on something on Monday, man.
Man, I'm over here bringing this. I'm bringing the juice right now, man. Sometimes the fake juice helps everybody wake up.
So, man, we try to put a little positive spin on this for the Panther fans, because we know y'all going through it. We're going through it too. Man. We're going through it with you. Like, it's hard to watch. It's hard to actually. Hard to just do 2 podcasts a week on this right now. I can only imagine Schuyler having to write 3 or 4 articles a day, like on this, like right now. This is crazy.
You want to know who I like? The Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to their offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
I watched that game last night. I wasn't planning on watching it, but something told me to watch it.
Me too. Yep, I flipped over the third quarter and ended up
staying there. The way that they use AJ Brown, like with picking apart number 11, what's his name? The DN for the Cowboys.
Who was that?
Parsons.
Oh yeah, Micah Parsons. Yeah.
Micah Parsons.
I
mean, my man was lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Same play, same drive.
Philly might be the only legit NFC team right now, as I'm looking around, that I would actually say, okay, I could see them in the NFC Championship game. They kind of are the most completely built NFC team at the moment. And Jalen Hurts, man. Jalen Hurts has progressed. Like, that's really
tell you, the New York Giants, man.
I can't figure them out. I don't know why this is happening.
I can figure them out. What they're figuring out is they're playing as a legit football team that's rallying around the belief in themselves.
And that coach. That coach is still that. Yep.
Yeah, and that's I mean, I'm not really sure how far they're gonna get this year. I know they're 5-1 right now. I mean, their schedule is not like terrible. Like, they can legitimately win the next 5 games. Like, they play the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like that could be a game they could lose, unfortunately, because it's in Jacksonville. It's like, we get to go to Jacksonville.
Ain't no joke no more, man.
But they not a joke, right?
No,
so
they ain't out no more.
So I think it's like those are the things that you need when you're playing on a team. You gotta have fun. Those guys are having fun. Atlanta Falcons, their coach treated them boys to a Bud Light after the game.
What?
Like, you didn't see that? Like, after the game, these guys cranking open Bud Lights.
Wow.
Doing the cheers after the win. Like, that's where we are, man. I mean,
I love that though. That's cool.
I love it, man. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to see from the Panthers. Eventually, I want to see these guys go through the mud. The Falcons been through the mud. The Giants been through the mud. Right now, you got new fresh blood with the head coach. Let's rally on that. Let's rally together. Let's come out of this St. Louis funk or LA Rams funk and get back to business.
I let the fans comment on this as we're doing it, and as our audience has grown over the past couple of weeks, more and more people have come in to start watching this while we're doing it live. And I'll end it here because it made me chuckle a little bit. San Antonio Hope they get Hollywood Higgins in more now that Rule's illegitimate child is gone. It's okay because Robbie's not here anymore, so we can talk about him. Yeah, I don't know where Higgins was yesterday. Is he hurt or he just didn't get on the field?
No,
because
he was in a baseball cap.
Yep,
yeah, Marshall showed up.
Just chilling.
Wow. But see, again, was Higgins a Matt Rule pick? Like someone he wanted and brought him over? Or was that something? Because I feel like even with the Fitterer stuff, and I know we're running out of time, even with the Fitterer stuff, I felt like Matt Rule's fingerprints were on every single move Scott Fitterer made. Like he had to clear it with Matt Rule before he did it. Or Matt Rule came to him and said, I need this, I need that. What can you do? And then Fitterer actually worked the parameters of whatever deal. But I don't think Scott Fitterer has been like, we should go get Baker Mayfield. I think that was Matt Rule saying, I think we should go get Baker Mayfield. Really, everything that's wrong with this team right now, it comes down to just poor decision-making with the quarterbacks over the past 3 years. Like really, if you really want to narrow it down, they have just made blunder after blunder when it comes to who they turn the keys over to. And then they tried to cover that with another error and then another error. I mean, they've brought Cam Newton back once already. And I think someone was joking with me and was like, the best quarterback.
Bring him back.
The best quarterback the Panthers have had since they cut Cam Newton has been a washed Cam Newton. That was what somebody told me. And I was just like, wow. Like, wow. Because I had no retort. I'm like,
sleeping on Teddy Two Gloves. Man.
I didn't really like Teddy for some reason. He didn't go down the field either. Like he was Mr. Checkdown to me, but
Teddy was a game manager and he was doing a fantastic job.
He was.
And I think what happened was there might have been some miscues on preparation in certain departments of the field when it comes to like red zone and situational football. And I think that's where that whole phase of Teddy didn't work out. But I'm going to tell you what, man. I hope all y'all fans that used to hate on Cam, I hope y'all feeling the wrath right now.
Appreciate it. Appreciate what you had because it's gone and ain't coming back. Like they ain't gonna go. Look, I can't even imagine them trying. I don't think Cam would come back to this. Like to be honest, what's the do to benefit him to come back to something like this? Because he'll just get the blame going forward if he comes back and they're still losing. That's how it happened last year. So I think Eric is talking about Cam with to bring him back. Sorry, buddy. I think that train is passed. I think they would much rather just let PJ Walker and Jacob Eason do whatever they're going to do before they bring Cam back in here.
Are the fans talking to you right now?
Yeah, they're like commenting on our Facebook and YouTube channel, so I can see them on the side as they're coming in.
Well, what do they think about? What do they think about this week's chances of winning against the Buccaneers?
That we'll have to hold for Thursday. See, that was a good tease. That was a great tease, Stu. We're gonna hold that for Thursday because I know Schuyler's got a thing he's got to get to at 3, and it's already 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll hold that then. Everybody that's in here today, come back Thursday.
Yeah, come back
on Thursdays. We were doing this. What time? We said we were doing this at like 1 on Thursdays. Is that right? Or
12:30.
12:30. You change the time again?
I might have.
I think we did early last week.
Hey, you know me, man.
You were the one who was like, we need to set time. You were like, we need to set time to do this. And then like each week you'd be like, hey man, I got something I gotta do. Can we move this up to 30 minutes?
I'm very much so new to this whole making my schedule type of life.
It'll be Thursday. I think we said 1 o'clock on Thursdays. I'll go back and check our messages and I'll hit everybody up. But we'll put it out the link for it so you can go ahead and like it. Go to Tobacco Road Sports Radio, subscribe to the channel so you'll get the alerts because it comes out there, the video version, the audio version's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Plus, all major podcast formats. So you can go there and get the audio here shortly. But we got to go. We're out of time. Panthers fall 24-10 to the Rams. We'll be back with our preview versus Tom Terrific and the Tampa Bay Bucks Thursday, early afternoon. For Schuyler, Callihan, Jonathan Stewart, I'm Desmond Johnson. You've been listening and watching the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. Keep pounding.